The swim lane represents an agent who performs the activities. So it is called a swim lane. So the column here, we call that a swim lane because each agent follows a path parallel with other agents in the workflow, as with a swimmer in a swimming pool. So this figure here is an activity diagram that describes the order fulfillment process for the current RMO CSMS information system. So the process begins when the customer has completed an order checkout process and the warehouse begins. So remember, this is about order fulfillment. So the warehouse begins order fulfillment. So the diagram describes the back and forth flow of information and control between order subsystem, inventory subsystem, warehouses, and shipper or the shipping company. So the diagram is simplified because it omits many error handling pathways, so including what happens if enough item stock is on hand to fulfill only part of an order. And the next activity diagram. So this figure here illustrates another workflow diagram or activity diagram, which demonstrates some new concepts. In this example, a customer is ordering a product that has to be manufactured to match customer expectations. To show that the salesperson sends the order to the engineering, then the diagram uses a new symbol to this one to emphasize the transmission of the document between the sales and the engineering. After the engineering develops the specifications, two concurrent activities happens. So purchasing order of the material or buying the materials, and production writes the production department writes the computer program for the automated machines. So these two activities are completely independent and can occur at the same time. So notice that one synchronization bar splits the path into two concurrent paths, and that another synchronization bar reconnects them. And finally, scheduling departments or scheduling puts the order on the production schedule. So creating activity diagrams to document workflows is straightforward. So the first step is to identify the agents. Let's just write that. You identify the agents to create appropriate swim lanes. So, for example, you identify this sections, these agents here: the salesperson, engineering, purchasing, production, and scheduling. And then the next step is to follow various steps of the workflow. follow the various steps of the workflow, and then make appropriate ovals for the activities. And then you connect the activity ovals to show the workflow. Okay, let me repeat. So when you create an activity diagram, so these are the steps that you need to follow. First, you identify the agents to create appropriate swim lanes. Next is that you follow the various steps of the workflow and then make appropriate ovals for the activities. And then you connect the ovals, the activity ovals, with arrows to show the workflow. Okay, so here are some guidelines. So you use a decision symbol to represent an either or situation. So one path or the other path, but not both. Remember the diamond sign or the diamond symbol, that's for yes or no, or oh, you can merge an activity and a decision by using a diamond into a single oval. So with two exit arrows. So example this one. So this notation represents a decision. For example, when you have an activity that reads verify or check, you will probably need a decision. So one for accept path and one for the reject paths, but not both. So that's when you use a decision symbol. You use synchronization bars for parallel paths. So this is an example of a synchronization bar. So in which situations in which both paths are taken at the same time. So include a beginning and an ending synchronization bar. You can also use synchronization bars to represent a loop, such as a do-while programming loop. So put a bar at the beginning of the loop and then describe it as for every. This is an example of that. So for each item in order, so meaning to say that this process here is in loop, can be repeated over and over again. So you don't need to add more activities, but to just put it in loop using synchronization bar. So put another synchronization bar at the end of the loop with the description end for every. So end for every or end for each item. So the beginning should be for each item or for every item, and then you put an end for the end of this for the synchronization bar end.